If you don't control your energy, you control nothing. That's why most people stay stuck, tired, distracted, barely keeping up while their dreams slip away. I used to think I just wasn't disciplined enough, but the real problem was energy. Once I learned how to build and protect it, everything changed. And in this video, I'll walk you through the Energy Playbook. I'm giving you the exact system that rescued me from years of drifting, the 4 pillars that transform scattered, exhausted people into intentional, energized humans who actually live their lives instead of just surviving them. Every night, I was quietly destroying my own potential, and I didn't even realize it. I wasn't out partying. I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was just wasting time, scrolling, binge watching, eating when I wasn't even hungry, telling myself I'd be productive, and then never following through. My evenings became this black hole that erased all the progress I made during the day. And the worst part, it became normal. A habit so subtle, I didn't notice it was ruining me. I didn't have an epic breakdown, no dramatic wake-up call. What I had was a quiet moment. One night, I looked around, messy desk, cold takeout, TV flickering in the background, and realized I wasn't living. I was drifting. And that's the thing, my friend. Most people don't destroy their lives with one bad choice. They do it slowly, invisibly, by letting the same empty evening repeat itself over and over again. But here's what I finally understood. You don't need a 5 a.m. miracle routine to change your life. You need to win the hours between 6 p.m. and midnight. Because those hours, that's where the magic happens. That's when you choose whether to become someone better or stay stuck in the same loop. The truth is, discipline doesn't start with big goals. It starts when you stop letting the day own you and decide to own your night instead. And if you do that, even just a little, everything starts to shift. So I made a deal with myself. No more passive evenings, no more wasted time. One change at a time, nothing crazy, just consistent. And that journey began with one surprisingly powerful move. So here are 8 things I changed to take my evenings back. I started with one, then another, and before I knew it, everything changed. Number 1, I made transitions sacred. I stopped going from work mode to crash mode instantly. Instead, I built a ritual. For me, it was 3 things: take off my shoes, wash my face, and light a candle, or turn on a chill playlist. That simple shift created a mental divide. It told my brain, work is done. Now begins your time. Without that transition, I kept carrying stress into my evening like a virus I couldn't shake, but that was just the beginning. Number 2, I scheduled decompression, intentionally. Yeah, I still watched a show or scrolled a bit, but now it was on purpose. I gave myself 45 minutes of guilt-free decompression, and when the time was up, I moved. Because what I realized is this: you either use time consciously or lose it unconsciously. Number 3, I created a second morning. Sounds weird, right? But think about how focused your mornings are. You shower, you prep, you plan. Why not treat your evening the same way? I started planning my evenings like they mattered, because they do. That 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. window, that's your edge. That's where the difference is made. And that brings me to the moment that changed everything. Number 4, I stopped letting decisions pile up. Before, I'd come home and ask, what should I do? Should I read? Should I work out? Should I cook or order in? Too many decisions equals fatigue equals default to Netflix. So I simplified it. I had a tiny list of 2 to 3 go-to evening activities. That's it. Each night, I picked one. Less overwhelm, more action. Number 5, I set a no input hour. Every night, I carved out at least 1 hour with no screens, no stimulation, just output or stillness. That could mean journaling, walking, stretching, or just sitting with my thoughts. Because here's the truth: if you're always consuming, you're never creating. And if you're not creating, even if it's just clarity or self-reflection, then you're not growing. But I almost gave up before the next one. Number 6, I kept the lights dim. Sounds minor, but this rewired my brain. Dimming the lights sent a signal: slow down. My body relaxed, my thoughts got quieter, my cravings dropped. We underestimate how much our environment shapes our behavior until we change it and suddenly realize we were fighting against our own setup the whole time. Number 7, I gave my future self a gift. I started ending every evening by doing one small thing for tomorrow's version of me. Laying out clothes, cleaning my desk, making a to-do list, tiny things. But they gave me momentum the next morning, and momentum is everything. You don't want your day to start in chaos. You want it to start with clarity, and that starts the night before. But this next one, It's the one I resisted most. Number 8, I set a hard stop for screens. No screens an hour before bed. At first, I failed miserably, but then I made it a game. I started replacing the phone with something analog, physical books, real conversation, sketching, even tidying up my space. And it didn't just help me sleep better, it made me remember who I was before the scroll took over. Because when you stop numbing, you start noticing. And that's when I felt the shift. My evenings stopped feeling wasted. They started to feel like mine. Not perfect, not always productive, but intentional, powerful, real. And here's the bonus tip I rarely share. I started logging my evenings like a story. Every night I wrote down one sentence that captured how I spent it, not a journal, just one line. The night I finished that book. The night I walked for an hour and solved that one thing in my head. The night I laughed with my brother on the phone. After a few weeks, I noticed something incredible. My life wasn't passing me by anymore. I was living it, and I had proof. So now ask yourself and be honest. Are you using your evenings to escape or to evolve? Because you don't need more time. You just need to start claiming the time you already have. But reclaiming your evenings was just the beginning of my transformation, because what I discovered next completely shattered everything I thought I knew about productivity and performance. While everyone else was grinding harder, I learned to do something that seemed counterintuitive, but became my secret weapon. I discovered that the most dangerous people in any field aren't those who work the most. They're those who have mastered something most ambitious people completely ignore. And this realization didn't just change my evenings, it revolutionized my entire approach to life. I used to be that person who wore exhaustion like a badge of honor. I remember sitting in a coffee shop 3 years ago, my laptop open, my eyes burning, bragging to a friend about how I'd been grinding for 12 days straight without a real break. I genuinely believed this made me special, that my capacity to push through fatigue somehow made me more dedicated than others. I was wrong in the most fundamental way. What I didn't understand then, and what most ambitious people still don't grasp, is that our brains and bodies don't operate like machines. They function in cycles of energy expenditure and recovery. This isn't just some wellness theory, it's hard science. When neuroscientists look at brain activity, they observe what's called the ultradian rhythm, 90 to 120 minute cycles, where our cognitive capacity peaks and then naturally dips. Fighting against these rhythms doesn't make you stronger. It systematically depletes your mental resources. Let me share something personal. The year I pushed hardest, working weekends, skipping vacations, wearing my exhaustion like armor, was actually my least productive year. My decline was so subtle, I didn't even notice it happening. Projects that should have taken days stretched into weeks. Creative solutions that once came easily now eluded me completely. What was happening? Studies from performance psychology give us the answer. Chronic stress without adequate recovery leads to diminishing returns. After a certain point, each additional hour of work produces less output, not more. But here's the perspective shift that changed everything for me. Rest isn't the opposite of productivity, it's the foundation of it. The most dangerous people in any field aren't those who work the most hours, they're those who generate the most valuable output with their time. And that requires mastering the skill of high-quality recovery. So what exactly does this kind of strategic rest look like? I'm about to show you the exact framework I've used to transform my own performance while actually working fewer hours. The problem isn't that we don't rest at all, it's that we rest poorly. We mistake distraction for recovery and wonder why we still feel depleted. Let me introduce you to what I call the R.E.S.T method, a framework I've developed after studying the habits of elite performers across multiple domains, from world-class athletes to groundbreaking innovators. R stands for rhythmic integration. This means synchronizing your work-rest cycles with your body's natural rhythms rather than fighting against them. E stands for energetic awareness. This involves understanding which activities truly replenish your energy versus those that merely distract you. S stands for strategic disconnection. This is about creating boundaries that protect your recovery from the constant demands of technology and obligations. T stands for transformative practices. These are specific techniques that don't just return you to baseline, but actually improve your capacity over time. Most people's approach to rest fails on multiple levels. Here's what it typically looks like. You work until you're completely drained. When you finally take a break, you immediately reach for your phone and scroll through social media for 15 minutes. You call this taking a break, but your attention is still fragmented and your nervous system gets no relief. You might then rest in the evening by binge-watching shows while simultaneously checking emails, essentially asking your brain to continue processing information. I was guilty of this exact pattern. I thought I was resting when I'd collapse on the couch after a long day and watch 3 hours of Netflix while periodically checking my phone. But this type of passive, distracted downtime doesn't restore cognitive function. It just creates a different kind of mental fatigue. The result? You never truly recover. You start each day at an energy deficit that grows over time, leading to what researchers call cumulative cognitive debt. But what if you could engineer your rest periods to actually make you more capable than you were before? That's exactly what we're about to explore. My friend, I'm curious, have you noticed specific activities that genuinely recharge you versus those that just distract you? I'd love to hear about your experiences with rest that actually made you more effective afterwards. Your insights often reveal patterns I haven't considered, and they might help others in our community discover new recovery strategies. Let me walk you through exactly how to implement each component of the REST method in your daily life. First, rhythmic integration requires understanding your own energy patterns. Start by tracking your energy levels throughout the day for 1 week, rating them from 1 to 10 every 90 minutes. You'll likely notice consistent patterns of peaks and valleys. This becomes your personal energy map. Once you have this map, schedule your most demanding work during your natural peak periods. Then, and this is crucial, proactively schedule 15 to 30-minute recovery breaks before your energy dips, not after you're already depleted. For example, I discovered that I have strong cognitive function from 7 to 10 a.m., then experience a natural dip. Instead of pushing through with caffeine like I used to, I now schedule a deliberate recovery period at 10 a.m. This might look like a brief walk outside without my phone, or a 10-minute meditation. I've got an important meeting at 2 p.m., but I notice I'm entering a natural energy dip. I'm going to take 15 minutes to reset now, so I can bring my best thinking to that conversation. Next, energetic awareness involves distinguishing between activities that truly replenish you versus those that just distract you. This is highly individual. For some, social interaction is energizing. For others, it's depleting. Create 2 lists: true recovery activities and distraction activities. Be ruthlessly honest about which activities leave you feeling restored versus just entertained. For me, a 20-minute walk in nature without my phone delivers more recovery than 2 hours of television. Reading fiction for 30 minutes replenishes my creativity more than scrolling through social media for the same amount of time. When implementing strategic disconnection, you need clear boundaries around technology and availability. Research shows that the mere presence of your phone, even if it's turned off, reduces cognitive capacity. True recovery requires genuine disconnection. Start with small technology fasts throughout your day. The first and last hour of your day should be phone-free. Designate specific rooms in your home as device-free, especially the bedroom. Set up automatic do not disturb modes during designated recovery periods. I've personally experienced dramatic improvements in sleep quality by establishing a digital sunset 90 minutes before bedtime, where all screens are turned off and notifications are silenced. Finally, transformative practices are specific techniques that not only restore energy, but actually improve your capacity. These include deliberate breathwork, simple techniques like box breathing, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, can shift your nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest in under 3 minutes. Active recovery, light physical movement that improves blood flow without creating additional stress, such as gentle yoga or a leisurely walk. Strategic napping, a 10 to 20-minute nap can boost cognitive performance for hours, but timing matters. The early afternoon dip, usually between 1 to 3 p.m., is ideal. Nature immersion. Studies show that even 20 minutes in a natural setting significantly reduces stress hormones and improves attention. The power of this approach became clear to me when I was working on a challenging creative project last year. Instead of my old approach of working until exhaustion, I implemented deliberate 90-minute work blocks separated by 20-minute recovery periods. During these breaks, I completely disconnected from screens and either went outside, practiced breathing exercises, or closed my eyes for a short meditation. The results were striking. Not only did I complete the project ahead of schedule, but the quality of my work was noticeably higher. Ideas and solutions that would have eluded my fatigued mind came easily because I was working with my brain's natural rhythms instead of against them. This is what it means to become dangerous through rest. You develop the ability to access your highest levels of performance, not by chance, but by design. As you implement this approach, be aware of these common pitfalls that can sabotage your rest quality. 1. Mistaking distraction for recovery. The most common rest mistake is substituting distraction for true recovery, scrolling through social media, watching YouTube videos, or even reading news articles keeps your attention fragmented and your brain in an active processing state. I remember believing I was relaxing by checking social media between tasks, but I was actually adding to my cognitive load. The fix is simple but requires honesty. Ask yourself, do I feel genuinely refreshed after this activity or just momentarily distracted? True recovery activities should leave you feeling more energized and clear-headed than before you started. 2. Waiting until exhaustion forces you to rest. Many high achievers wait until they're completely depleted before allowing themselves to recover. By then, the recovery period needed is much longer, and the quality of their work has already suffered. I used to pride myself on pushing through until a project was complete, regardless of how long it took. The result? Work that should have taken hours, stretched into days because my cognitive function was severely compromised. The solution is to rest proactively, not reactively. Schedule recovery periods before you need them, treating them with the same importance as your most critical meetings. 3. Contaminating rest with guilt or anxiety. Even when physically resting, many people remain psychologically active, worrying about what they should be doing or feeling guilty about taking time off. I noticed this pattern in myself when I take breaks but spend the entire time thinking about my to-do list. This mental contamination prevents true recovery from occurring. The fix requires a mindset shift. Recognize that strategic rest is a productivity tool, not an indulgence. When you rest, remind yourself that you're not taking time off. You're preparing to perform at your peak. 4. Inconsistent recovery rhythms. Erratic rest patterns, like sleeping 5 hours during the week and trying to catch up on weekends, prevent your body from establishing the rhythms that optimize recovery. For years, I maintained an inconsistent sleep schedule, believing I could make up for sleep debt whenever convenient. What I didn't realize was how this irregularity was undermining my overall energy management. The solution is to establish consistent recovery rhythms, regular sleep and wake times, predictable break periods during your day, and weekly recovery activities that your body and mind can anticipate. Remember, your nervous system craves predictability. When you create consistent recovery patterns, your body becomes more efficient at both performance and restoration. When you master the art of strategic rest, when you learn to truly recover rather than just collapse, you unlock a level of sustainable performance that most people never experience. My friend, this isn't about working less for the sake of comfort. It's about optimizing your recovery so that every hour you work produces exponentially greater results. As performance expert Jim Lohr puts it, the ultimate measure of our lives is not how much time we spend on the planet, but rather how much energy we invest in the time that we have. Mastering strategic rest was a game changer, but I quickly realized there was still something missing. Even with perfect recovery techniques, I was still hitting walls that shouldn't have existed. That's when I uncovered the hidden energy drains that were sabotaging everything, patterns so subtle that most people never notice them, yet they're responsible for that constant feeling of being tired despite doing everything right. What I discovered next didn't just complement my rest practice, it unlocked energy levels I didn't know were possible. My friend, here are 10 crucial changes that saved my life and gave me the energy I forgot I could have. Number 1, I stopped earning rest and just took it. For years, I believed I had to earn rest like some twisted loyalty program. I'd collapse on my couch and immediately feel panic. Did I do enough to justify sitting here? If the answer was maybe not, I'd open my laptop, scroll work emails like I was trying to win an award for self-destruction. Rest isn't a reward. Rest is a requirement, like food, like air, like water. When you treat rest like a trophy, you turn life into a never-ending competition, where you're always trying to earn the right to be human. I hit a wall and said, "This is insane. I'm resting now. Not because I earned it, but because I'm a living being who needs it." Let me tell you, When I gave myself permission to rest on good days, bad days, productive days, lazy days, my energy didn't just return, it stabilized. I stopped swinging between burnout and guilt. Rest doesn't just refill you, it redefines you. It's a quiet rebellion in a culture that tells you your worth equals your productivity. Number 2, I stopped starting my day like I was already late. Every morning felt like I was already behind before my feet hit the floor. I'd open my eyes and immediately grab my phone, doom scroll Instagram, check work emails, scan news, respond to group chats. By 8 a.m., my brain was already overstimulated and stress levels through the roof. The way you start your day becomes your day. If you begin overwhelmed and reactive, you've already lost control. One morning, total accident, I forgot to charge my phone. Woke up to silence, no notifications, no alerts, no fake emergencies from work. Just me, breathing, existing unplugged for about 15 minutes. I felt something I hadn't felt in months, peace. I tried it intentionally the next day, then the next. That tiny window, 10 to 15 minutes before the world starts demanding attention, became sacred. No phone for the first 15 minutes. Glass of water, some deep breathing, maybe journaling. Nothing revolutionary, just space to exist before chaos begins. Same job, same responsibilities, same problems, but my energy completely different because I was finally leading my day instead of being dragged through it. Now here's what's going to blow your mind. The thing that's probably draining your energy more than anything else isn't some big obvious problem. It's something you probably think makes you more productive, but it's actually turning your brain into mush and leaving you exhausted by lunch. Number 3, I stopped multitasking like it was a superpower. I used to pride myself on juggling 50 things at once. Answering emails while on calls, scrolling Instagram while watching Netflix, eating lunch while working, texting while having conversations. I thought I was being efficient. I was being scattered. My brain was constantly switching between tasks, never fully engaging with anything, always running in background mode like a computer with too many tabs open. My friend, multitasking is a myth. Your brain can't actually do multiple things at once. It's rapidly switching between tasks, and every switch costs energy. That's why you feel fried after a day of getting a lot done. I started single tasking, one thing at a time, full attention, complete focus. When I ate, I ate. When I worked, I worked. When I talked to people, I actually listened instead of planning my next response. Everything got easier. Work took less energy because I wasn't fighting my own attention span. Conversations became more meaningful. Even simple tasks felt less overwhelming because I wasn't trying to do 3 other things simultaneously. Number 4, I got brutally honest about what was draining me. The biggest reason I was tired all the time was living a lie, not a dramatic secret life lie. A quiet, sneaky dishonesty, bleeding my energy every day. I said I was fine when I wasn't. Told people I loved my job while fantasizing about quitting every few hours. Said I was just tired, when really I was spiritually malnourished and drowning in disappointment about where my life was heading. Lying to yourself is exhausting. Carrying resentment about your choices is exhausting. Pretending you're okay with your life when you're deeply unsatisfied is soul-crushingly exhausting. I didn't realize how much energy I was bleeding just holding in the truth, that I hated my routine, that I'd outgrown goals I set in college, that I was terrified I was wasting my 20s in a life that didn't fit. The breaking point came one night, sitting in my car after another soul-crushing day. I whispered, "I don't want to do this anymore." That wasn't a fix, just truth finally said out loud. Energy started coming back because when you stop suppressing truth, your nervous system doesn't work overtime pretending everything's okay. I started journaling stuff I was scared to admit, talking to friends who don't judge when things get real, looking in the mirror and saying, "This isn't working, but maybe something else can." I actually dive much deeper into this whole concept of energy-draining lies in my weekly newsletter. If you haven't checked it out yet, I've added the link below. It's where I share the stuff that doesn't make it into videos, and I'd love to have you there. Number 5, I cut out people who drained my energy. You know when you hang out with someone and feel exhausted afterward, even though you just sat there? That's emotional fatigue, and it's as real as running a marathon. I had people who turned every conversation into unpaid therapy sessions. They never asked how I was doing unless it was to pivot back to their drama. Every text thread became crisis management. Every hangout left me needing to lie on the floor, and stare at the ceiling. Some of the most draining people aren't obviously toxic. They're emotionally exhausting in that I feel guilty setting boundaries way. Nice enough that you feel bad, wanting space, but they leave you feeling like a dead phone battery. I made an actual list. People who energized me versus people who made me feel like I needed to reboot my entire system. When I saw it written out, some friendships were actually unpaid emotional labor contracts. I started creating space, gently, quietly, no drama, less availability, fewer immediate responses, more boundaries. The weird thing? Most energy vampires didn't notice. They just moved on to the next available free therapist. You can be kind without being a sponge. You can care without carrying everyone else's problems on your back. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I've noticed something interesting about people who seem to have endless energy versus those who are always drained. It's not about age or genetics. It's about how they structure their lives. Have you ever noticed that some people can work long days and still have energy for hobbies, while others are exhausted after a few hours? What do you think makes that difference? Feel free to share in the comments below. I'm curious about your observations. Number 6, I started eating for energy, not just convenience. I lived off energy drinks, protein bars, and whatever I could microwave between meetings. I thought I was being efficient, but I was running my body on sugar spikes and processed garbage. I'd grab what looked healthy, granola bars, smoothies, fancy energy drinks with vitamins, then crash face first into my desk 45 minutes later, wondering why I felt like someone unplugged my brain. Sugar crashes, processed carbs, and healthy snacks that are basically candy bars with marketing degrees. Those energy bars that give you everything except energy. I started paying attention to how I felt after eating, not how full I was, but how my brain and body functioned 30, 60, 90 minutes later. Most of what I ate was knocking me out like sedatives in disguise, even stuff with pretty packaging and words like organic and superfood. I started eating real whole foods that provided stable energy. Eggs, nuts, avocado, Greek yogurt without added sugar, actual vegetables, foods with protein, fiber, and healthy fats that help your brain work instead of shutting it down. I stopped eating like I was preparing for hibernation. Instead of massive meals that left me food comatose, I started eating smaller portions with purpose, fueling the next few hours, not the next few days. No more 2 p.m. death spiral, no more fantasizing about becoming one with my couch. Just steady, consistent energy that actually lasted. Number 7, I fixed my sleep hygiene for real this time. Everyone talks about sleep, but nobody talks about sleep hygiene properly. I thought I was doing everything right, getting 7 to 8 hours, going to bed at a reasonable time, still waking up, feeling like I got hit by a truck. It wasn't how much I slept, it was how I slept. My bedroom was a disaster zone for quality rest. Laptop in bed, phone charging next to my pillow, LED lights from electronics turning my room into a spaceship cockpit. I'd scroll TikTok until my eyes burned, then wonder why I couldn't fall asleep. Wake up 3 times a night to check notifications I didn't even care about. My brain never got the memo that it was time to actually rest. Pitch black room, blackout curtains, tape over LED lights, the works, phone charges in another room, no screens 30 minutes before bed, room temperature slightly cool, white noise machine to drown out my upstairs neighbor's apparent bowling league. I started a wind-down routine, nothing fancy, 30 minutes of reading, stretching, or journaling, something that told my brain, workday is over, human time begins. I stopped waking up feeling like I fought a bear all night. My brain started actually recharging instead of just being unconscious for 8 hours. Number 8, I made boredom illegal. There was a stretch where I did everything right. Decent job, nice apartment, went to the gym, meal prepped like a responsible adult. Yet I was exhausted all the time, but not, I've been working too hard, tired. More like my soul is in a coma, tired. I was bored. Not nothing to do bored. Emotionally and spiritually bored. The kind where your life is technically full, but everything feels gray and repetitive, like living the same Tuesday over and over. Boredom is exhausting. When your days all look the same, feel the same, blur together like a TV show you never wanted to watch, your brain goes into energy-saving mode. No dopamine, no excitement, just endless mental fog. I made boredom illegal, not Instagram adventure nonsense, just little sparks of novelty. taking different routes to work, trying weird recipes, saying yes to plans I'd normally auto-decline, listening to podcasts about topics I knew nothing about. Let me tell you, novelty fuels dopamine, and dopamine fuels energy. You don't need a vacation in Europe to feel alive. Sometimes you just need a reason to look up from your routine. I started feeling more alive, not in a fake productivity hack way, but in a my brain actually wants to be awake today way. But here's what's really going to shock you. There's one thing that's probably destroying your energy every single day, and you're doing it because you think it's making you healthier. This next point completely changed how I think about fitness and energy. Number 9, I moved more but smarter. For months, I believed the lie that being tired meant I wasn't working out enough, so I tried to fight exhaustion with intense workouts, HIIT classes that felt like punishment, gym sessions where I pushed myself until I wanted to throw up. I'd leave drenched in sweat, but emotionally bankrupt and halfway to a nap I couldn't afford. Being exhausted and being out of shape aren't the same thing. You can be physically fit and still feel like roadkill if you're constantly stressing your nervous system. When I stopped punishing myself and started moving gently, I actually got more energy. When you're chronically tired, your body needs movement that feels safe, not stressful. I ditched the no pain, no gain mentality and started small. Walk around the block small. Stretch while watching Netflix small. 10 minutes of movement not to burn calories or prove something, but just to remind my body it was alive. I started pacing during phone calls, doing push-ups during commercial breaks, walking while listening to podcasts. The bar was low, but that's the point. You don't need more punishment. You need more permission to move in ways that feel good. My energy went up consistently. I started feeling like a person again instead of a zombie with a gym membership. Number 10, I set boundaries with technology. My phone was basically an IV drip of anxiety straight into my bloodstream. Every notification was a little hit of stress. Every scroll session was voluntary brain fog. Every quick check turned into an hour of my life I'd never get back. I was spending more time staring at screens than looking at actual humans or the actual world. My brain was constantly processing information, responding to stimuli, jumping between apps like a pinball machine. I tracked my screen time for a week and nearly threw my phone in the trash. 7 hours a day, 7. That's more time than I was sleeping. Notifications off for everything except calls and texts. Social media apps deleted during weekdays. Phone charges in another room at night. Specific times for checking email instead of constantly refreshing. I started having phone-free meals, phone-free walks, phone-free conversations. My brain started working again. I could think clearly, focus for longer than 30 seconds, and actually be present in my own life instead of constantly documenting it or escaping from it. Let me tell you, these 10 changes didn't just fix my tiredness, they gave me my life back. I went from surviving each day to actually living it, from managing exhaustion to cultivating genuine energy and vitality. Your constant tiredness isn't normal. It's not the price of being an adult or working hard. It's your system telling you something needs to change. Each change amplified the others. Better mornings led to better energy for food choices. Cutting energy vampires created space for activities that actually energized me. Moving gently made rest feel natural instead of guilty. Being honest about what wasn't working gave me permission to change it. With my energy finally stable and sustainable, I thought I had cracked the code, but there was still something missing. A way to connect all these changes into lasting transformation. That's when I discovered the missing piece that tied everything together. Without this final element, all my progress felt scattered, like having powerful tools, but no blueprint for building something meaningful. What I found next didn't just organize my life, it became the operating system that made everything else work seamlessly together. I lived 12 years of my life as a human pinball, bouncing between urgent emails, last-minute deadlines, and other people's priorities, setting ambitious goals that became forgotten post-it notes within weeks, feeling perpetually behind despite working constantly. Every morning I'd wake up already stressed about the day ahead. Every evening I'd collapse wondering what I actually accomplished. My goals existed only in my head, vague, shifting, and disconnected from my daily chaos. I told myself I was too busy for planning, too important for reflection, too focused on action to waste time writing. But I was destroying my own potential, because without intentional daily alignment, you're not building a life. You're just surviving one. The brutal truth? You're probably living the same scattered existence right now, rushing between activities that feel important but lead nowhere, setting goals you abandon, making plans you ignore, living in constant reaction mode while your dreams collect dust. 30 minutes to 1 hour of daily structured journaling isn't just helpful, it's the difference between designing your life and letting it happen to you. My friend, let me tell you, most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. The bridge between daily chaos and yearly transformation is deliberate, systematic reflection. Most people think journaling is about recording what happened, but it's not. It's about designing what will happen. If you move through your days reacting to whatever pulls your attention, responding to urgent but unimportant demands, and hoping your scattered efforts will somehow align into progress, you're guaranteed to feel busy but unfulfilled. You're living your life at the mercy of external demands rather than internal direction. But if you dedicate 30 minutes to 1 hour daily to structured reflection, intentional planning, and goal alignment, you create something entirely different. Mental clarity that cuts through noise, daily actions that compound toward meaningful outcomes, a sense of control over your time and direction, because directed lives aren't accidental, they're journaled into existence. I'm going to show you my exact 4-part journaling framework in just a moment. But first, we need to understand why most people's approach to goal setting fails so spectacularly. Most of the time, people set goals once a year, then never revisit them. They plan their days in their heads while rushing between activities. They review their progress only when something goes wrong, and they wonder why their efforts feel disconnected from their intentions. The gap between intention and reality isn't closed by willpower. It's closed by daily recalibration through structured reflection. Think about how pilots navigate flights. They don't set their course once and then ignore it until they land. They constantly check their position, adjust for wind and weather, and recalibrate their route. Your life deserves the same level of intentional navigation, yet most people spend more time planning their weekend entertainment than they do planning their life direction. More time choosing what to watch on Netflix than designing their daily priorities. This is why journaling isn't just helpful. It's essential for anyone serious about living intentionally rather than accidentally. Without systematic daily planning, you're essentially gambling with your most precious resource, time. You're hoping that scattered efforts will somehow align into meaningful progress. You're trusting that your future self will figure out what your present self refuses to clarify. And the biggest mistake people make when setting goals, believing they can remember and execute their intentions without systematic support, thinking they'll naturally stay focused on what matters, assuming their priorities will remain clear without regular review, expecting their daily actions to align with their bigger vision through wishful thinking alone. But here's what most people miss. Your brain is designed to forget details and get pulled toward immediate demands. Without external systems to maintain focus, even your most important goals become background noise in the chaos of daily urgency. The truth is, relying on memory and motivation to execute your goals is like trying to build a house without blueprints. You might make some progress, but you'll waste enormous amounts of time and energy, and you'll never create anything close to your full potential. My friend, I've watched this pattern destroy countless well-intentioned efforts. People who set powerful goals but never create systems to maintain them. Ambitious professionals who have vision but no daily accountability. Creative individuals who know what they want to build but get lost in the minutiae of execution. In every case, the breakdown happens in the same place, the gap between intention and daily practice. A goal without a plan is just a wish, but even a plan without daily review and adjustment becomes obsolete within weeks. Life changes. Priorities shift. New obstacles emerge. Without regular recalibration through journaling, your original plan becomes irrelevant to your current reality. This is why 92% of people abandon their New Year's resolutions, not because they lack willpower, but because they lack systems for maintaining clarity and adjusting course when life inevitably changes. The modern world is specifically designed to fragment your attention. Social media algorithms pull you toward endless scrolling. Email notifications interrupt your deep work. Urgent requests masquerade as important priorities. Without intentional systems to maintain focus, you become a victim of these forces rather than someone who harnesses them for your own goals. This resonates deeply with my own experience, and I suspect it might with yours too. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to staying connected to your goals while managing the daily chaos? Do you find yourself constantly questioning whether you're working on the right things? Let me tell you, creating lasting progress requires a systematic approach that balances reflection, planning, and accountability. Here's the 4-part framework that transformed my relationship with my goals and time. Part 1, Morning Clarity Session, 15 to 25 minutes. Begin each day with intentional design rather than reactive response. This session includes 3 components. First, gratitude and presence, 3 to 5 minutes. 3 things you're grateful for, and 1 way you'll be present today. This isn't just positive thinking, it's neural preparation for noticing opportunities and maintaining perspective during challenges. Second, priority alignment, 8 to 12 minutes. Review your bigger goals and identify the 1 to 3 actions today that will create meaningful progress. Not everything on your to-do list, but the specific tasks that compound toward your larger vision. Third, obstacle anticipation, 4 to 8 minutes. Identify potential challenges for the day and pre-decide how you'll handle them. This prevents reactive decision-making when pressure builds. The power of this morning framework is that it transforms you from someone who reacts to the day into someone who intentionally creates it. Part 2, midday recalibration, 5 to 10 minutes. Check your actual progress against your morning intentions. This isn't about judgment, it's about real-time course correction. Ask 3 questions. What's working? What's pulling me off track? What needs to change for the afternoon to align with my priorities? This brief pause prevents the all-too-common experience of reaching evening wondering where the day went and why you feel busy but unproductive. I'm going to show you exactly how to implement this framework into your weekly schedule in just a moment, but first, we need to understand the critical 3rd element that most people completely overlook when planning their goals. Part 3, evening review, 15 to 25 minutes. This is where most people want to skip, and it's exactly where the magic happens. Evening reflection serves 3 critical functions. First, progress acknowledgement, 5 to 8 minutes. Specifically note what you accomplished, no matter how small. This builds momentum and reinforces the connection between intention and action. Second, learning extraction, 5 to 8 minutes. What worked? What didn't? What would you do differently? This transforms every day into education rather than just experience. Third, next day preparation, 5 to 9 minutes. Review tomorrow's calendar and set initial intentions. This prevents tomorrow from starting reactively. The evening review creates closure for the day. Instead of carrying unfinished thoughts and anxiety into sleep, you've processed the day's experiences and prepared for tomorrow. Part 4, weekly deep dive, 20 to 35 minutes. Every Sunday, conduct a comprehensive review that most people never do, but high achievers consider non-negotiable. Review the week's progress against your monthly and quarterly goals. Identify patterns in what's working and what isn't. Adjust your approach based on real data rather than assumptions. This weekly session prevents the drift that turns months into wasted time and ensures your daily efforts compound toward meaningful progress rather than scattering in random directions. So what's it going to be? Will you continue rushing through days without direction, hoping your scattered efforts will somehow align into progress? Keep setting goals without systems to maintain them? Stay trapped in the cycle of busy but unfulfilled? Because if you don't create systematic clarity through journaling, nothing fundamental will change. Your days will continue feeling reactive rather than intentional. Your goals will remain wishes rather than inevitable outcomes. Your potential will stay potential rather than becoming reality. And 6 months from now, you'll either be the person who gained clarity and control through daily reflection, or the person who's still wondering why their efforts don't match their intentions. I faced this exact choice after years of feeling busy but directionless. The turning point came when I realized that my resistance to slowing down for reflection was actually keeping me stuck in a pattern of scattered, ineffective action. This realization didn't make journaling instantly enjoyable, but it made it non-negotiable. And what happened next changed everything. My days became intentional rather than reactive. My progress became visible rather than hoped for. My goals became systems rather than wishes. This transformation is available to you right now, not when you have more time, not when life becomes less demanding. Today, if you're thinking, this sounds powerful, but how do I actually start without it becoming another burden? Here's the exact progression that separates successful practitioners from those who quit after a week. Let me tell you, the difference isn't motivation, it's strategy. Most people try to implement the full framework immediately and fail when enthusiasm fades. The successful approach is counterintuitive. Start so small, it feels trivial. Week 1, 15 minutes of morning clarity only. 3 things you're grateful for, your top priority for the day, and 1 potential obstacle. That's it. Your brain will resist this routine. On resistant days, write, I don't feel like doing this today, but my top priority is, and continue. The act of writing, even reluctantly, maintains the habit chain. Week 2, add 10 minutes of evening reflection. 3 questions. What went well today? What would I do differently? What's tomorrow's main priority? This creates closure for today and clarity for tomorrow. Most people's sleep improves immediately because their brain stops carrying unprocessed anxiety into rest. Week 3, include 5-minute midday recalibration. Check your actual progress against morning intentions. Ask, am I still on track with what mattered this morning? This prevents the common trap of wasting entire afternoons on low-priority tasks simply because you started them. Week 4, add 20 to 30-minute weekly reviews every Sunday. Review progress against monthly goals, identify patterns in energy and productivity, notice which tasks you consistently underestimate. This transforms daily experiences into systematic learning rather than just random events. Common failures and solutions. People quit when they miss a day, thinking they've broken their streak. Treat missed days as data points, not failures. Others abandon the practice because they don't see immediate results. Journaling's benefits compound. Week 1 creates awareness. Month 3 creates behavioral changes. Month 6 creates fundamental life shifts. The time investment objection reveals a misunderstanding. Journaling doesn't consume time, it creates time. The 30 to 60 minutes spent journaling typically returns 2 to 3 hours of focused productivity because you stop spinning your wheels on unclear priorities. Here's what most people don't realize about systematic journaling. The benefits compound exponentially over time. Month 1, you gain basic clarity about your daily priorities and start feeling more intentional. Month 3, you begin recognizing patterns in your behavior and can make strategic adjustments. Month 6, your goal achievement accelerates because you're consistently aligned with your priorities. Month 12, you've become a fundamentally different person, someone who designs their life rather than just experiencing it. The most powerful transformation isn't immediate productivity improvement. It's the shift from being reactive to being intentional, from hoping things work out to systematically creating the outcomes you want. This practice creates what I call life momentum, the feeling that your daily actions are building towards something meaningful rather than just keeping you busy. But this momentum only comes from consistency. Journaling once a week won't create it. Journaling when you feel like it won't create it. Only systematic daily practice builds the clarity and alignment that transforms scattered effort into directed progress. Beyond the practical benefits, systematic journaling creates a more profound transformation. It develops your relationship with yourself. Most people go through life barely knowing themselves. They react to situations without understanding their patterns. They set goals without considering their true motivations. Journaling forces honest self-confrontation. You can't maintain illusions about your habits when you're tracking them daily. You can't pretend your excuses are valid when you're writing them down repeatedly. This self-awareness is initially uncomfortable, but ultimately liberating. When you understand yourself clearly, you can make decisions that align with your authentic nature rather than fighting against it. My friend, what you just learned isn't just tips. It's a blueprint for a life most people will never experience. Not one built on hacks or willpower, but on systems that protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and give you back control. But here's the hard truth. Most people will watch this, nod along, feel inspired, and then do nothing. They'll keep waiting for motivation instead of building momentum. Don't let that be you. Pick one pillar, just one. Maybe it's reclaiming your evenings. Maybe it's eliminating one energy drain. Maybe it's journaling for 10 minutes tomorrow morning. The starting point doesn't matter. Starting does. Because once you feel the shift in one area, you'll want it everywhere. That's how real transformation happens. One choice, one habit, one step at a time. 6 months from now, you'll either look back proud of the systems you built, or you'll still be stuck hoping for change. If you found this video helpful, this next video right here will take you even further. Your choice, your life. Start now.